Greetings, readers and travelers, and welcome to another episode of Stats on Stats, a lit RPG podcast, but where we also talk about cultivation, dungeon core, tower climbers, game lit, all that fun stuff. My name is Richie Stevens, your host for this wonderful channel, and as always, I am joined by my co-host. I don't even know. I don't have a description or anything for you today, but he's the guy that's going to be leading the conversation for once. So it's his time to shine. Joel Harvey. Joel, how we doing today?
I am doing fantastic. I'm excited for this episode.
You know what? I am too. And we've had the past few weeks off, and I am just so tired. Work's been crazy. I was on vacation. I went down to Disney, and I had a blast.
Ooh.
But here we are. We're back for another episode. And joining us for the second time, and for our wonderful boss encounter episode, Mr. Ryan DeBruyn. Ryan, how are we doing today?
Very good. How are you guys? It's great to be back. I'm excited. I was, episode 11 the first time? Something like that? I believe somewhere in there?
Yeah, you were after 10. I remember that, I want to say. Yeah. You were like right around the Tao Wong episode. I remember that because we talked about it was right before LitCon, actually. You were the episode before LitCon. And then we had Travis on right after LitCon, so that's how I remember it.
That's a good one. I like it.
When you were on our show last time, we talked about the first book in the Ether Flows, or Ether Collapse series, not Ether Flows.
Yeah.
I just looked over because you were also gracious enough to send the Equalize and first book in the Ether Flows series to me, and you also sent the first copy of Ether Collapse to Joel, and Starred Tower, which I was holding Starred Tower hostage. I traded it to Joel.
This is what we're talking about.
But today we are talking about Starred Tower, which is one book that I had always on my agenda, and I was like, I don't know. And then after we talked to you about it, I was like, all right, I'm gonna read this. So I bought it instantly, and it was good. But we're gonna save our thoughts for that on the episode. We just have a few quick housekeeping things that we're going to discuss really quickly. As you know, and we've talked about previously, we do have our giveaways still going on once we hit our goals. So if you want to know about those giveaways or anything like that, what you need to do is help us reach our goals of 200 followers on Twitch, 15 subscribers on Twitch, 100 followers on our YouTube page, and I'm going to add in another one, give you guys another chance to be entered. Help us reach 100 followers on our Stats on Stats Lit Twitter page. If you are not following us there, please go follow us because
that's 4 chances.
That's 4 chances of what Joel and I are going to be breaking our wallets for, because let's be real. You're gonna have the chance to win a full series of your choice in the Lit RPG game lit world. So if you want to break our banks by saying, hey, I want the entire audio collection of, I don't know, let's say...
longest one, Artorian Archives?
Artorian Archives is what I was going to say, actually. If you want to win the entire Artorian Archives audio, or, beginning after the end, because Ryan and I talk about that one a lot, actually.
Yeah.
You'll have a chance to win that. And I mean...
I think the new one actually for that is up for pre-order. Sorry to interrupt, but I think it is.
Beginning after the end, it's 8.5. Yeah. It's a side
novel. Oh, right.
I can't wait because Travis, we love you. Anyways, welcome back to another episode of Stats on Stats. Today's topic of discussion is the Starred Tower. And oh boy, we're excited about this one. But Joel, my man, my buddy old pal, this one's on you.
I'm gonna take it away.
All right, take it away, buddy.
Yes. So the series is actually called System Misinterpret, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Which is just a great name for a series. I'm just throwing that out there. Especially once we get into it, you'll figure out why it's called System Misinterpret. But we start out. It's a cultivation world. You start out with the main character, Leanne Turrell. Well, not the main character, one of the main characters.
Yep.
And it is a cultivation world set in the future in the Canada area. Yeah. So
I mean, yeah, for sure. It's in Toronto mainly for the first book, and then jumps to Manitoba in the second one. If that's not, I don't think that's a bad spoiler because there's not much information there.
How dare you now? If you're not here for spoilers, folks, then you're
yeah.
Well, let's not dive straight into spoilers right off the bat.
Oh no, we're not. We're still building the scene here. So these 7 towers pop up, and people discover cultivation. I guess. I don't know which one comes first, or if they tell you, but we start with Leanne Turl. And she is a ranker, which is someone who has went into the tower and has like gone through the floors. There's like you can only do 10 floor, or once you go into the tower, you have to do 10 floors to get out of it. And she was like one of the first cultivators to do that. So she was pretty famous, and where we pick up, she is sent into the 51st floor, I think, right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
And, yeah, all hell kind of breaks loose. Rich, you want to talk about what craziness goes down?
I mean, there's one really, really, really big thing that happens within the first chapter, which I want to start off by saying Ryan told me that this book is a slow burn. It is for probably about 20 minutes. And then the husband, who we don't even really get to meet or anything, straight decapitated.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's slow burn.
It's a slow burn my ass. That's like it does have a slow burn aspect to it, but not in a bad way.
It's a lot of story building.
There's a lot of story building and also a lot of world building, and we like.
I think like the first chapter is like half an hour on Audible, or like.
You know what?
It's a pretty big chapter. What's that?
We're gonna find out. We're gonna tell you right now.
You are on that.
I'm already on it. Like I already have it pulled up right here. Like okay. I'll just interrupt my Star Wars, book I was listening to. It's 31 minutes and 40 seconds, Joel.
Oh, that's pretty freaking close.
But I think that also includes, the our wonderful Steve Campbell and Andrea
Parsnow.
Yeah, I'm always scared I'm going to mispronounce her name. Because I always want to say Andrea because, my Midwestern or Southern Indiana accent comes out.
She's honestly one of the best. Like, and she's also does it on Discord too, live. And I got to listen to her like read Leanne live, and like, I mean,
she does such a great job.
She did such a good job. Like, she sounds so crazy, but like also like does such a good job of making her like human. I loved it. Like, I got goosebumps listening to her do Leanne because like I had actually written Leanne for Andrea, like kind of being like, oh, this is like the voice I want. Like, I want that kind of strong female voice and female character. And Andrea was what I pictured when I was writing it. And like when she kind of came in and did it, I was like, oh my God. Like, I literally then sent Steve a message and I was like, hey, so Andrea's going to send the pictures over. You better step your game up, man.
Well, obviously, let's talk about the cast really quickly because, we had Andrea and we had Steve Campbell. And I love Steve. He's also the narrator for the Ether Flows series.
Correct, yeah.
And he does a great job. I've not gotten to interact with Steve as much as I would like to. Which, I mean, you and I talked about that the other day when we were messaging back and forth. But like some of the other books he's done, I think the first book I listened to that he did was Death's Favorite Warlock by Charles Dean, and my God, that was my introduction. So he had high shoes to fill.
One thing I want to point out is just a lot of the bloopers at the end were mostly Steve Campbell.
The book is mostly Steve Campbell.
Well,
Andrea only does what, 2 or 3 chapters?
3, I
Yeah.
think. So the goal was to do 3, 4, and then 5 chapters. So like I'm actually this book there's 4 chapters for Leanne, and then the next one there will be 5, and then come book 4 there will be kind of more of a 50-50 split of chapters. As you see, kind of, I think it's quite clear in this book that Leanne is kind of going to start healing. I mean that's very well
She's
foreshadowed.
On the path of healing.
So
exactly right. So
I do have a question for you, Mr. Ryan.
yeah, please.
Buddy old
Absolutely.
pal. Because when I first heard about this book was actually in the Lit RPG group. I think you had promoted it because I remember the art. I remember the art for the book cover, and I liked it because it wasn't like super complex or anything. It wasn't like over the top. I mean, Joel, hold it back up if you can. But it was kind of cartoony. It like not anime vibes or like manga vibes. It was just kind of cartoony. It was fun. And my boy Murr down there, he just looking all cute and shit. And it was narrated by both Andrea and Steve, but it wasn't like a dual narration like how Sound Booth or how some of the books Daniel Wisniewski does. I said it right this time. Take that, listeners. Dan, if you listen to this, please don't yell at me.
Oh man, some names are hard to pronounce in our genre.
He told me his name before we started, and he's like, "It's at the beginning of every book," and I was like, "I know, but I usually listen to what you're saying, not how you're pronouncing it," which is totally not the right thing to say. Anyway, would you ever do like a dual narration style where, like, when there's the female characters on, you would have Andrea voice it and have Steve do the male characters, or would you keep it the way it is still?
Separated by chapters.
Yeah, separated by chapters.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because I'm not sure. I think I'll have to make that decision when I get to kind of where it's 50-50. But even when it gets to 50-50, I'm not sure I'll have interaction right away between Leanne and Jeff. Even after she heals, that's not going to be the very first thing that happens, right? Like there's quite a bit that happens in book 1 that foreshadows the rest of the books, the rest of the series. Part of that is the church and what's going to happen with the church and the guilds in that northern territory. What's going to happen when Veronica's dad comes back into the picture, and he's part of the Sabers Guild and stuff. So there's quite a bit that's happening there. And so Leanne is actually going to be telling one story, which is kind of more the like big political movements and stuff that's going on in the world. And Jeff is going to tell another story, which is kind of somebody starting from the beginning and moving up the tower and how that should look because he has kind of all the help, if you will, that will put him on the right path right away. So it's interesting. Like I'd love to, because I'm not sure, and you'll have to let me know. Like, is duet narration what it's called when they're both doing it at the same time, or is dual narration that one and duet narration is the other? Because there's 2 different ones, and since they both start with 2.
On that one, I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I always thought of it as dual narration because it's the 2 people working together. So like how Sound Booth Theater does it, how Dan and whoever he's working
Rebecca,
with.
I think it is sometimes. Yeah,
usually Rebecca, usually Jessica. It varies. Which I mean,
right.
Shout out to Dan and Rebecca because we had them on for the promotion episode for First Fist by TJ Reynolds, which was awesome.
Ooh.
So good.
Yeah, I've got to read that one.
Good.
I'm excited. I've seen some really good things with that one, so I'm
really
so excited. And I love TJ, by the way. So if TJ, you're watching, you're awesome, and I gotta get
TJ.
First Fist as well.
And then also their new release of Tokens and Towers. Holy shit, that was good. And I actually I screenshotted a part of it because our lovely guest here gets name dropped by Harmon Cooper in the book. And I screenshotted it and I sent him a screenshot of it. And I was like, I always love when this happens. And I'm going back up into our conversation right now because it was watching Imiko in action reminded me of that one time I saw Circus Soleil at a writer event in Vegas. Let me backtrack. I was at a writer's event called 20 to 50K, and I happened to see a show with one of the nights with Canadian lit RPG author Ryan DeBruyn. And I was like, yep, that makes sense for the time frame I'm listening to this. and he's our next guest.
Speaking of name drops, because there's some name drops in this book as well.
Yeah, it keeps going too. So yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
I try a lot. It's fun.
Some of the book references, the authors for the book references, there's like Zanboy, or it's something like that. Zanboy.
Yeah, and I call him the Grouchy or something like that. Yeah. I was writing that, and I was on Discord with Xander, and he was being extra grouchy. So I just typed it in, and I was like, "Xan, is this okay?" He's like, "Yeah." It's fine." So that's so yeah. I love our genre for that because, like, I would say it's exactly that. Like, we all go to a couple conferences. The main one, obviously, being Dragon Con, which is actually where I met Joel for the first time. I mean, I think so, right? And that's also where the big everything, like, yeah. And we came back and did that, and so like it's fantastic because if you ever want to meet the Lit RPG authors, we all seem to hang out there. Or at least every 2 years we seem to go. And it's just kind of an intermingling cast, and it's great. It's so we all got to talk, and that's actually a true story. Me and Harmon and our two significant others went and watched Cirque du Soleil in Vegas at $20, and he sent me that when it got published. He's like, "Oh, by the way, you're in this," and I was like, "Oh my god, this is hilarious."
Which
So, yeah.
Ryan, I'm sorry. I know last time you said I hope to see you at Dragon Con for this year. I don't get to go. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll go next year.
I know you're gonna fly to the pretty much the Canada of the United States, aka Colorado, and drag me by my ear to that conference. I can feel it. Or
Yeah,
Azoth
at
is
some
gonna
point.
fly in with that tracking ID.
Yeah, exactly. You got to. He'll come pick you guys up as long as you have treats. As long as you have treats, you're gonna have to have like a whole
treats when he
moose or
dropped this
something.
off. Okay.
Perfect.
Which I need to record that tracking thing for you so you can send it to your people.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. Like, I've got a couple things coming up. As I said, we've got I'm going down to the States pretty soon, actually, to visit with where the MDP stuff, like where Dakota is in Kansas City. And so I'm so excited to get down there and just kind of sit down with some authors and talk shop, if you will. So
that's
and drop
far
some more
me.
names. It's not really. Oh well, then I might like. How far is?
It's like 10 hours. It's a two hour flight, but driving is 10 and a half hours.
I'll be down there for 3 weeks, so I might have to see if I can borrow a car or something. So we'll see.
All right,
depends. But yeah, then I'm going to name drop some more names. I think I have Dakota in this next book. I have Tao in this next book. I've got
I know Mur is from the Greenpeace clan, which is
yeah. When he said "long live" or welcome to the
life reset, yeah,
Greenpeace lives or something like that, I was like, "You got to be shitting me! You got to be kidding me!"
I love Shemmer. Shemmer's one of my favorites. He's just such an awesome guy. We actually get on the phone call every so often, and he's just amazing. And so yeah, I had to, and I did Dork Shaman too. I don't know, not as many people picked up on that one, but like I love that stuff when he did that. Like where it's like it starts out, and every time somebody's saying his main character's name, they're never getting it right, and the main character is just so upset. Oh, I love that. So yeah, I just tried to I think a lot of us authors do that, like where we just try to give, because technically you had Charles Dean on here too as well, and actually in Ethic Collapse. Oh, you haven't yet?
No,
okay.
No,
I just assumed you did because of Death Favorite Warlock.
No, that was just my first interaction with Steve Campbell. That's the first time I heard of him. We do want to get Charles Dean on. Our what was it? Third episode was War Eternus, so we did talk Charles Dean. We just didn't have him on.
Nice, because he has some great stuff. Amazing author, and actually he's working with Ramon Mejia right now. They're doing. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Actually, I hope. Yeah. Anyway, I think they're trying to.
You guys don't know. He's the reviewer for.
Well, he's also an author. The mechanical. Mechanical artifact. Is that what it's called?
Dungeon, I think, isn't it?
Mechanical dungeon.
Crafter. Mechanical crafter, or something like that. Yeah, one of those two. Yeah. Oh man, he's awesome. I like Ramon as well, and we get to see him a lot too. So. But yeah, sorry, I derailed it. We've derailed the conversation a little bit.
Oh my gosh,
that's stats on stats.
This train is like so derailed at this point. Oh my gosh! All right, let's get back to the story. So, Leanne Turl and the rest of the humans that go with her get kidnapped and become slaves for the elves, which they meet on the 51st floor. That's who decapitated her husband.
Which is rude. We don't do that here. No decapitations.
He did.
And then we pick up from the main character of the book, which is Jeff, who is, well, I guess it fast forwards to Jeff, which
there's a time skip there.
Yeah. After Leanne gets back to I don't know what you would call it.
Well, it's
Future
Leah
Canada?
at that time. Yeah, she's so yeah, it's like I think it's 50 years in the future, and at the time, like Jeff's mom is leading a group of mercenaries through kind of looking for something, and Jeff's mom's name is Leah. He doesn't really know his last name, so all you know is that he's following Leah, and he's kind of upset with his lot in life. He's not exactly treated well for some reason. His mom doesn't want him to cultivate, and he can't really figure out why. And there's hints, but that hasn't fully developed yet as to why she kind of acted that way. There's, she's crazy. There's that. There's other stuff too. So it's
We're all a little crazy.
It's quite fun. Yeah, exactly. So, and we've already talked about the decapitation of her husband. So, I mean, she has reason to be.
She does. She has every reason to be. It's.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, this has a really nice tone to it. Like it's kind of kid friendly. Oh no. Oh no.
I just realized so my mom gave a book to kids, like a high school, grade 9 high school class in the area, and I was like, oh yeah, Starred Tower. Yeah, I'll give them Starred Tower. That's a super kid friendly book. And now that you guys are reminding me, I'm like, oh yeah, right.
Okay, well, to be fair, most of this book is through Jeff's eyes and his progression, which we should get into. So he survives the attack on his mother's group when she gets kidnapped, and he finds himself waking up in this training room, which is a lot to do with how he progresses in the story, which is just freaking awesome. Like, as a mechanics fanboy, this training room is great. It's like this app, like phone app, at like a training gym phone app, except it's the entire building, and then you can add apps and earn bitcoins for like training or cooking good meals and stuff, and buy stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to write that. Like that, honestly, like, so it's funny because for me, a lot of the inspiration for how that works came from when I was a professional athlete, and I just was getting into lit RPG and cultivation books, and I remember reading some of them and just being like, well, like, in cultivation, you got to do body cultivation, and you're cultivating your body, and you got to eat these medicinal herbs and all these tropes, I guess is the best way to say it, in a lot of cultivation. And I was like, oh, so I was just picturing in my head, like, okay, if I'm a cultivation person who's playing professional sport, well, everything I eat needs to be healthy, and it's going to help me get stronger, and my workouts are giving me things. And then once lit RPG came along, that connection just was instant. Like, it's like, oh well, what would happen if those apps on your phone really existed, or Google Glasses, for example, tracked you and you're doing a rep and it's like +1 strength, +1 whatever. It'd be so much fun. So I think more people would work out if that was the case, right?
Yeah, it was just a very unique way and new to the genre of like actual training, like you would on like Earth, for cultivating yourself and whatnot.
Yeah, no, and I loved it. Like, I really liked how it turned out, and I think it's kind of nice. Like, Crash was super unique for me.
Gosh.
It was a lot of fun. So, like, once he kind of came into the picture and Jeff kind of got over and started really talking with him, he was so much fun to write, because he's still fun to write. Like, I'm loving like his dry kind of,
Well,
needling.
I want to say one thing I love is, he's going through the archives and he's learning all about this like powering, and when he learns that the archived books he's been using are comic books.
Oh my gosh, yes. Just the scene where he
I forgot about that, and then when I was listening to it again this week, I was like, "Oh, you got to be shitting me! How can I
the
forget
dual
about
cultivation comic book?
Paired
this?"
cultivation.
And these
Yeah,
guys
paired
are known
cultivation.
as superheroes. It's like, yeah, yep, that makes sense. It's comic books. It's comic books. Now, Ryan, I do have a quick question for you. For the publishing for this book, did you self-publish this one, or was this a Mountaindale book?
This was self-published. This was my
Okay.
first self-published book. Yeah. So this one's really fun. The goal is to get 3 books out in this series. Kind of like the second book I'm writing now. I'm at up to chapter 20 on the first draft, and so I'd like to get it done kind of middle of May kind of thing, and then get it in for editing and get it to Steve. Kind of, I think I have a slot with Steve June. I think middle of June already. So that'll be good. And Andrea, because she has such a small part, she said she'll just fit it in around stuff. So that's the goal, obviously, as a writer. And I just broke my foot, and then I was sick, and just stuff like that happens, and it's tough to sit down and write sometimes. But I mean, you guys you'll talk to so many authors, and they'll all have their own stories. Like there's a lot of great ones out there that I just try to aspire to be like. Like Tao Wong, Dakota, and stuff, and they get into these great routines, and they just continually are producing. Michael Chatfield is another great example of this, and Charles Dean, and there's just so many great peers out there that I look up to, and that's the goal. Even if you're broke your foot, you're sick, whatever, you just sit down and you put some words on paper, and I got to get better at that. But
you get hit by a car, you don't even die.
Exactly. You just keep going. The fans want to hear the story.
Hey, you got to have the 5 Ds of dodgeball, man.
What is it? Dive, duck, dodge.
Dive,
what
duck,
are the other
dip,
ones?
dive, or dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
That's right. Yeah, that's what you need. It's so yeah, and that's. I really want to, and I'm so excited. I'm also working on a serial that I'm going to start publishing, on Royal Road and stuff eventually. But I think that's next year, 2 years from now.
When you said cereal, I thought you meant a breakfast cereal. I was like, I need this. What are we talking here? Are we talking like Oreos or like what's going on here?
I wish that'd be real money.
The official Ryan DeBruyn cereal? No way.
Yeah, with little like Azoth marshmallows.
Please, I need it.
We'll call it Captain Chimeras.
Oh, I like it. Oh, CC.
Rocky's meal.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one too. What did you guys think of the recap in Etherclops 4? If you read it, where he hit Rocky's bottom. Some fan mentioned that to me, and I loved it.
I
It
haven't
made me
started
howl.
it yet because I'm
fair.
behind on a lot of other stuff. Anna, don't yell at me. I'm still working on Behind Blue Eyes too.
That's fair. That is fair. I'm only laughing because it was like kind of a fan who mentioned it to me. He basically said like, it looks like Rocky hit Rocky's bottom, and I was like, oh, I love that.
Well, and it's funny with Etherflow's book 4, which congratulations on the release for that. Very excited to get into that when I can. I might wait for the audio for that one because Luke, love you, Luke.
Should be soon. Yeah, May. We have a spot with him early May, so he should be recording very soon.
Yes. As soon as that cover reveal was like done on your author page on Facebook, I screenshotted it. I sent it to Joel. I was like, "Holy shit! What we got going on here?" Because it was your cover drop and then Jonathan Schmidt's cover drop for Dungeon Core Online 3, and they're both very, very cool sea themed. And I'm just like, "Oh, I need this. I need all these books in my life right now." Oh my god!
And they'll be soon.
There's so much stuff coming out. I am so far behind, and I hate to say it, I'm not even on a lit RPG kick right now because I've burnt myself out. I'm back on my Star Wars kick because I just got back from Disney. I went to Galaxy's Edge. I'm actually wearing my Star Wars shirt that my nephew got for us. Quad gold.
I love it.
We wore it.
Going to Disney is always so much fun.
Oh, we had matching shirts the entire time. First vacation I've had in 4 years. I loved it.
Ooh. You got it. You look like you've got a haircut and everything. You look like
Yeah.
a fresh man, sir.
Yeah. Well, I got to shave. My razor died, so I didn't get to shave before the episode like I wanted to. But
Yeah, you're telling me.
yeah, but yours looks better than mine. Okay.
Oh man. But yeah, we're talking about Star Tower. Sorry to jump over to Ether Collapse 4. It was just the timing of the release. I apologize.
This episode is mainly centric about your work. We just decided Star Tower is going to be the main topic, but if we throw other stuff in there, like Ether Collapse, Ether Flows, which since we've had Ryan on, he's released 2 books.
Yeah.
Ether Collapse book 4 and also Ether Flows book 2, which that new cover for both books. Oh my god. So good.
Yeah, actually, even the one that you guys have for Ether Flows Book 1 that you have, Richie, is the old cover for Book 1. And I don't even have any new ones yet.
I'm going to order it off Amazon. I'm going to get one because I want to have both because I'd be like, I'm special.
No, you gotta have the original. It'd be like first copy.
Which is why I want to get my Legends of Dante's in, because I don't know what's going on with that one. But
exactly, so exciting.
Azrael left me a message in my Ether Flows book, and it says, Richie, never leave an enemy alive. Joel, I'm sorry, I got to kill you now.
Jeez. What great advice.
And it goes with my Star Wars kick I'm on right now, because I align with the Sith Lords more than anything. Because I'm a chaotic evil.
It's a good way to go. Oh man, that's funny. I'm
Joel,
so glad that you guys
take it away. Back to Star Tower, I guess.
Fair.
So we were talking about Crash, whose full name is Crash Test Dummy. So that was pretty great. Just throw that out there.
That's right. I love that. I still haven't gotten to the point where Jeff, uses dummy or Crash Test Dummy fully, I don't think. But that's coming.
And then I guess I got a question for you. So how difficult was it to write Jeff as this socially isolated character
that could pass for a 13-year-old?
Yeah. And that's it. And it was really actually quite interesting. And I think part of the big one, and like me and my editors went through this a little bit back and forth, because it's like there's certain things that I used to describe something. Like I'd use a bowling ball, like it was as heavy as a bowling ball, about the same size, and like just moved on, right? Obviously. And it went through, certain steps in my own editing process, and I didn't hit on it at all. And then suddenly, my editor's like, how would he know what a bowling ball is? I was like, what do you mean? How would he know what a ball? And then they're like, he literally grew up in the post-apocalyptic era. Bowling, you think bowling just survived? And I was like, that's a good point.
Yeah, bowling survives everything. Most times people just use skulls this time and bottles, so it works.
You can always knock down something with a round-shaped object, right? And
especially
skulls, they might kind of veer off, though. That's the problem. Like, it's like when you're in the grocery store and you just bowl a watermelon down the center of the aisle, it kind of veers. It doesn't seem to stay on.
As a former produce employee of a certain grocery chain, I've never done that.
But yeah, and that's the big one. And so it was really tough, actually. Like, it was a challenge to write him from so many angles, because you have to, hide certain things from him and also reveal it, because it's a very close perspective too. And I want to do that intentionally to bring the reader in as close as I could. So I did first person present, which, I have taken a bit of flack for, because people seem to prefer first person past. And I get that. But the idea was, I don't want to reveal too much to the right away. And I feel like with, when you're going to first person past or third person past, you can really kind of go to omniscient views from time to time and really just describe something, and people will see the scene and know what the solution is early. And you kind of mentioned it with the mechanics of the fights and the mechanics of the world. And I really wanted that to be in there, because when you play video games, and that's kind of what our genre is based off of, it's never just very rarely do you have just a boss fight where it's a hack and slash. You know what I mean? There's even in big raid bosses, of most RPG games now, you need to follow a strategy, right? And so that's what I wanted to have. And so it's very fun in the sense that that was a big focus of that book. And I got to kind of design boss fights, if you will, and kind of solutions to those boss fights. And in the F rank dungeons that he's doing in book one, those solutions are kind of like a puzzle that if you solve, you'll win probably. But then once you go up in level to E rank and D rank and whatnot, those things only give you an advantage. And that was kind of always the goal, is like to build kind of, okay, well, by the time you get to S rank, it's like those things really just make it so you have one attack, like just like in RPG games, where it's like that boss is now weak against lightning or fire or something like that, right? And that's kind of, so now you have a critical strike that you can apply. And so I wanted to capture some of that from when I was playing video games, World of Warcraft, stuff like that, where you have certain things that would work and where, it's like you got something on you, so you had to group up with people. And so that was part of the mechanic part for me. And so all that stuff, I didn't want to reveal it right away. I want you to be with Jeff when he's kind of seeing how this stuff works. Because I felt like that was important.
It's also like a great, just the way that he gets the analysis skill so that he sees the world around him. He collapses from like pain because he like put these contacts in and that like merged with his eyes, and he like collapses from the pain. One thing that I also really wanted to point out is that if anyone like asked me what makes Ryan DeBruyn's work stand out from anyone else, it would definitely have to be, well, one, his like experiences as an athlete, but also just the descriptions of people in pain or like getting hurt. It seems to be more realistic. I don't know. Like, Rich, would you agree with that?
Yes, I was gonna say, like, when he's with the that first group he really meets, when he's going through and he actually ends up, this is how he meets Myrrh and saves Myrrh's life. That group, when he gets stabbed, I believe it's in his side, he says it's like the most excruciating pain he's ever felt, and that he's trying to hold it together, and he knows that he'll heal, but in that moment it hurts. It hurts really freaking bad. Well, yeah, you just got stabbed in the side. It wasn't a monster claw or anything. No, the people you were supposed to be with, that were supposed to be protecting you, straight up just stabbed you in the kidney, I think is where he gets stabbed, or the stomach. It was in that like abdominal area, whatever the hell I'm trying to think of. I'm sorry,
and I'm not. I think actually he gets cut across the chest and his skin flaps open and he's looking at it and he's horrified by that. And like I do remember that scene. And again, it was so much fun to be writing in first person present because I could do that. And thank you, by the way, for saying that, guys. That you're the first person to ever say that to me, so that's a great compliment. It's very interesting because that was something that first person present really let me explore. Because like when you're right there, it's like, how can you describe this without just saying he's in pain? And that's been my goal kind of moving forward. Like you can kind of see it in book one of Ether Collapse, obviously as a new author. I think everybody's had this. You just use a word and you're like, oh yeah, pain. Oh yeah, sad. Oh, whatever. And that's kind of the description. And then you kind of start to grow and you can start to see what it's called, like show not tell is the big one. And I knew about it already in Ether Collapse 1 and I did some of it, but then you start to see how to make it work even better. And I found that Starred Tower is still one of my absolute favorites for that because you really just get to be right there with the character. And I think that's probably what you're talking about.
So as you brought up, like, with your first novel versus where does this one come into play, like when you wrote it? Is this like your third or fourth novel? Like, did you do Ether Collapse 1 and 2, then this one, or?
This was 5, I believe. Yeah, this was 5. So I did Ether Collapse 1, 2, 3, and then Ether Flows 1. And then I did this one. So this was my 5th novel. Yeah. And so I had a lot more work.
I can definitely tell, because with Ether Flows being your first one, or Ether Collapse being your first one for Equalize, the way your writing style has, I don't want to say like improved, it's just, I guess, evolved a
I
little
think
bit.
this whole book is like a completely different vibe from
Yeah.
like the entire Ether series.
But where I'm going with this is like it's the way the writing style goes, because I mean if you look at just a couple examples, I don't really want to use this one, but it's the best one I can think of off the top of my head. The Harry Potter series with J.K. Rowling,
Right.
where she does, Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone, whichever version you have. It's, kid friendly. It's nice. It's good. As the series goes on, it progressively gets darker. Like the first 3 books, they're like, yeah, this is kind of good, but once you hit Goblet of Fire, whole tone change.
Yeah.
And like that's not just
Right.
because of the series, but it's also because of the work she's put in and she's learned from feedback or whatever. Another one would be The Land with Alaron, where once you get to book 3, he talks about how he is burning Sonore, the assassin, and like he burns his hair off and everything because he like
Yeah.
lights his hair on
Right.
fire, or his head he gets lit on fire. I can't remember what the hell is happening.
It was like napalm or something,
The
right?
napalm bomb, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And it's like I felt burns after reading that, and it
I
wasn't just
remember
like
that too.
the grease fire spell or anything like that he used back in book 1. This is like a whole new thing, and it's like, oh, okay. So I like that, and I like, not saying that your writing was bad to begin with, because it was good. It's just no matter how good of an author you are, your work's always going to be better than your previous one, in my opinion.
Oh, I think that's 100% true, and I think any author you talk to, if you know, it's funny because like with Ether Collapse, when I'm giving it to people now, I kind of often will say it was my first work, so once you get through book 1, you'll see more improvements, and like one of the big ones for Ether Collapse book 1, and if you ever reread it, you'll kind of see this, is it was a lot of exposition. It was the first book I ever wrote. There's a lot, so I came from a screenwriting world, which had a kind of rule where why would you have a useless conversation? Like you don't see somebody in a movie pick up the phone and, hey, how's it going? Hey, so what have you been up to? Like they don't have this huge conversation, which is what we all actually do. So like in reality, the very first thing when I get on the phone with you, Richie, or you, Joel, how's it going? And I think I did this with you, Joel. How's it been? Like, how's it going? Right. And so that's the very first thing that you do. And it's like same with Rich. We talked on Facebook. It's like, oh, how's everything been? You have all these things that you do. Whereas in script writing, and you only have so much screen time for a show, a TV show, or a movie, and you would never do that. So you see somebody pick up the phone, or they cut in mid conversation, and it's the things you need to know. And so that's what I was coming from.
And that's that. I was actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I just reread the novelization of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith for Star Wars, and the conversations they have in the book, I wish would have been in the movie, because it's an expanded edition, so it kind of goes over more and everything. But there's a scene between Padme and Obi-Wan where Obi-Wan's like, I know you love Anakin, and Anakin's always loved you, no matter how much I don't want to admit it. I know, and I'm like, that could have been a great scene. Where the hell was that?
Yeah,
So I feel
and that's
like,
it, right?
yeah, even if it's a useless conversation, like, hey, how's it going? It's letting us know how the characters are dealing with something. Like something could have just happened, or like, I don't think any conversation is useless, in my opinion, in any sort
You're
of
right.
screen or book writing. I want to know, like, I want to know what's going on with Rocky and Azoth right now. Okay. Like,
Absolutely. Well, that's the big one, right? And that's 100% what ends up happening in movies is that they cut a lot of that stuff out to keep the story going. So you miss a lot of the internal stuff with your characters that you love. So I find that, that all has to be done by the actor's range, if you will. Like you kind of got to get the facial expression from the actor to give you some hints at that, or the way that they talk, or something like that, to make them, to let you know that they're depressed, or that to let you know that they're excited, or whatever it is. And you miss all that little stuff. And that's why no matter what, almost everybody will unanimously say for the most part that a book is better than a movie. If they've read the book and the movie, they'll be like, oh, you got to read the book because there's so much more. There's a few movies I'm sure that break that. I have a few in my mind. Like I think actually Order of Phoenix was one of the first ones that did that for me, where the movie was so good and the book I remember grudging through it because it just
That's
felt
my
like,
favorite one.
you
So
know,
thank you for bringing that up because I love Order of the
okay.
Phoenix.
Yeah, it's a good one. That's kind of, you know, for me, the book wasn't as good as the movie, and that was one of the few that I've ever hit. You know, so anyway, sorry.
And I mean, I think the Star Wars one's a little bit of a more special case because the movies are, or the books are obviously based on the movies, and it's a
Right.
reverse when
Okay.
they come out later. So, because obviously George Lucas does the screenplays, all that fun stuff, and then they do an expanded version. They do it for actually all of them. I have the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, and I think I have the Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, but I don't have the Rise of Skywalker yet, which goes into a whole more lore and everything. It's weird, but I like it. I think that's the rare occasion where I honestly can say the book is better than the movie, and the books came out after.
That's really cool. Yeah, because like you're right. I've never read a book that came out after the movie. I've only ever done it the other way
All
around.
Star
You
Wars
know, like where you're.
novelizations are that way. So just as
And
a
see,
heads
that's
up.
it. I never knew that. That's really cool. I learned something new today. Thank you.
And I mean, they've had some great authors do the novelizations. They had Terry Brooks do the first or the Phantom Menace.
Oh, wow.
R.A. Salvatore does the Attack of the Clones, and Matthew Stover does book or Revenge of the Sith. George Lucas, I believe, did the book for A New Hope and for Empire Strikes Back, and the rest of them I can't remember who.
See, and
who
you've
did
got
it.
to go to DC because like there was authors that talked about this. Like it's like Jim Butcher and some other people were on panels and they were talking about how those things come about, where it's like you get hired by someone to write this story. So then it's like, you know, you're working directly with the studio, you do an outline, you give it to them, they send you back corrections, then you do it some more, and then you tweak stuff, you write your first draft, they tweak stuff, and it was super cool. And so like now that you're saying that, I'm like, wow, that'd be really interesting with that process because you have the source material that you can go watch. And like you obviously have to follow very, very specifically to that. And I wonder how that would work out for an author because it'd be super interesting, like to talk to R.A. Salvatore, you know, I forget some of the names that you said there, but like to talk to some of them and just see kind of how that'd be really cool. Yeah, because like one of them, Terry Brooks, you said, right?
Which is Terry Brooks does the episode. Actually, I found this at one of the bookstores, and I had to pick it up.
Oh, that's so cool! And that's it, right? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, Qui-Gon, that's his name, right?
I love my Star Wars, and I'm on my Star Wars quick kick. But hey, Dragon Con mods, like if you ever need someone to like monetize a panel or anything, I'm free. I'll do it for free. I have no problem.
That's the way we all do it. We all go down there and they just basically give us a ticket to get in. You know what I mean? That's great.
I want to go. I might have to start like a GoFundMe or something for Joel and I to get down there and like bring equipment and stuff so we can do a live show from Dragon Con because I feel like that'd be a fun time.
And then to be honest, then you can write it off too, right? So that's the nice part. It's great in that way. Exactly, right? Because like that's what's nice about all that stuff is like once you actually start it as a business and you kind of claiming it as taxes, even if it's taken the loss, you can kind of, you know, you can make those things work a little bit better because you can kind of be like, okay, well, I'm just going down there to talk with people, and you are like you're gonna meet. We all just hang out in the basement of the Westin near a Starbucks, and we all just chat and then go to panels and then come back and out and in and out and in and out and in. It's a lot of fun. So you got like a revolving door style.
God, I want to go to a con so bad. I haven't been since IndiePopCon 2016.
Exciting.
Hey Joel, what's next?
Speaking of Starbucks.
Yeah.
Perfect segue.
Yeah. That's true. Good question, actually. That was fun. So with Starbucks, that was fun for me because my girlfriend worked at Starbucks. And so she came home that day that I was writing that guild and just handed me this a Starbucks I think it was a hot chocolate or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, okay, hold on. Because have you ever watched it's a movie with Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone. I think it's called Demolition Man.
Demolition Man. It's the futuristic one where he's a hitman. Yes.
And so one of my favorite things was that Taco Bell was the only thing that survived.
Well,
so now Taco Bell is like this 5-star restaurant. And so like she hands me the Starbucks cup and I'm like, how can I do something like that? You know, where it's like only one thing survived from our present world and this is post-apocalyptic. And so I was like, okay, that's fun.
You
Starbucks
just
is
made
such
my
a
high
big
school
thing.
economics teacher very happy because we actually talked about that in my economics class. We talked about that specific scene.
I honestly, it's one of my favorite things of all time because I remember watching that and be like, Taco Bell of all things, like that's amazing.
Hey,
And
Back
it
to the
was just
Future did
so much
Pizza
fun.
Hut, so
Oh, did they? I don't
yeah,
remember that scene.
it's
That's
in
really
part
cool.
2. Oven. They've put the instant pizza in. It does like the flash, and they pull out a full
I
pizza.
do kind of remember that, and oh my god! Now that you say it, I'm remembering the scene. But that was the idea with Starbucks, 100%. And Star Tower was okay. If something's going to make it, this is it. And so Starbucks did it, and they're obviously going to have some roles coming up. And the fun part for that is my goal is to basically have them kind of go in that direction a little bit, where they then start having places that they sell alchemical drinks, if you will, in all the major cities. So it'll be kind of quite fun, like
Great.
cultivation style Starbucks in the future. It'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's a good one. I kind of forgot, and that's where some of that inspiration came from. Like literally handed a cup Starbucks, and then thinking Demolition Man. Like hands down, my mind just went Demolition Man. Oh my god, this would be so much fun.
It's amazing. I love it. That's something that I like about the genre as a whole is the little Easter eggs, the little nods at something, or the name drops that we've talked about already. It just it makes the whole genre for this subsection of fantasy, sci-fi, where whatever we are at this point, special. And I like that. And it feels wholesome, and everyone gets a laugh about it. I mean, I can't go into one group on Facebook right now without someone mentioning this fucking lemonade recipe from He Who Fights with Monsters.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh
yeah,
my
that's
god.
a good one.
It's so
Well,
interesting. I've never done it that way.
yeah, well, and the other one that's really fun is one of them has where you drink the potions, like any sort of mana potion or a health potion. I'm forgetting which book this was, but it made me howl with laughter. And it's like sponsored by Mountain Dew, or sponsored by.
Remember this, but I don't
oh god,
remember.
what is it? Is it Rogue Dungeon?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Is it Rogue Dungeon?
Maybe it might have been because Kaz is for the salt, right? And that's Rogue Dungeon, right?
Yeah, that's Rogue Dungeon.
No, it's
but
not.
It's Poner Boner that says it.
It might be. Yeah, for the salt. There it is. Yeah, and like honestly, it might have been that one. The problem is like the more you read, the
I
more
want to say
like
it's James Hunter. It's James.
it's
Hunter.
probably James Hunter.
So it's either going to be Rogue Dungeon or Viridian Gate.
Yeah, and I love it. Like it's just so funny because there's like a taste, and he describes the taste, and he's like, that sickly sweet taste of whatever it was, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so good. Like, and those little nods are just make me chuckle.
Rogue Dungeon. It is Rogue Dungeon
There you go.
because it's Rorik that says it, and then he reads the description of and it's brought to you by Code Red Mountain
Right.
Dew, or
That's
Voltage. Right. And if I'm wrong,
But that's a scene. That's 100% the scene I'm remembering.
It is a scene because it's red and it's sponsored by Code Red Mountain Dew.
Yeah, and then there's certain ones like that. And then I think you're right because that sounds right. That sounds pretty close to what I'm thinking. Like, I mean, you're remembering the scene exactly the same as I am. Just which book it came out of. I'm like, yeah, that's not.
I did 105 books between 2020 and 2021. I did, I think, 100 last year, and I'm already up to like 60 for this year. So,
yeah, I think we have like at least 600 between both of our libraries of just like RPG.
Which, I mean,
it's crazy. Right?
As of right now, I'm up to 271 on mine. Jesus Christ.
Wow. I think I'm at like 400 or 500 right now on mine actually as well. I actually just finished, so I don't want to derail the conversation too much, but one of my favorites of this last little bit was reincarnated as a farmer. Great! I was reincarnated as a farmer. Oh my god! I just loved where it went. I'm really excited for book 2. I think it's going to be interesting because book 1 was so good because he's discovering his style of how he's going to get farmer XP and whatnot. I don't want to ruin that book for anybody either. But book 1 was really unique, really great, and I'm excited for book 2. But I'm like, how do you capture that kind of vibe again? Because
He knows.
I can't see how, like, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's going to be so hard for him obviously he can go a completely different way, capture a whole new vibe and make us super excited too. I'm not saying, but like, it's going to be.
There's also like once he hits like level 100, so
New class,
he's got to
right?
start like an entirely different class or something.
You know what?
Yeah.
That'll segue us over. But hey, let's do last comments really quickly on Star Tower before we dive into that section. Since we're kind of coming up on our time frame. Joel, last comments.
I mean, other than like the generalization that this book was amazing, I mean, I don't think we like talked about Rebecca at all.
No, we'll save that. Let the readers.
Okay.
You know what? If
You
you're
guys
curious
can
about
figure
this
out who
book and
she
just want to
is.
know who Rebecca is, go read the book. It's good.
You mean Veronica? I think you mean Veronica.
It might be Veronica. Yeah.
Yeah,
My
Veronica
bad.
Verdon.
Joel, you
Yeah,
got
I
me
was like,
saying the
Rebecca.
wrong name now, dude. Come on. You're supposed to be
I
the
was so
expert.
confused
My
for a
bad.
second.
The
No,
Rocktopus
I
is very upset with you, Joel. The
Rocktopus?
Rocktopus is upset.
It doesn't even have a guitar.
He has the rock's face, Joel. And he's an
I couldn't
octopus.
even tell.
It's Dwayne the Rocktopus, okay?
Why?
So, Ryan, do you have any last comments on your book or why people should read your book?
So, just the one, and that's I love the thank you, Rich, by the way, for liking the cover. I love the cover for book one, but I do have a new cover coming for that one, because there was a bad reaction to it. A lot of readers didn't pick it up because they didn't feel like it captured the essence of the genre, and so that's just to say, if the cover's turning you off, what's inside is very much, I think, at least, in the genre. It might not look the same as some of the other books in the genre, and that will change as I release book two. I'll be putting out the new cover for book one to see if that kind of sparks off some people wanting to pick it up. That's the only comment I can really make.
I'm gonna
I loved it.
another copy of book one then, so I have the original because I like the original. Yeah, the second one
like
might
it
be
too.
even cooler, but hey, I like the original cover. It's very funny. It's got a cutesy vibe to it. I like the big green eyes. It's adorable. Okay.
Speaking of covers, that cover for book 4 was
It's book 4.
it is amazing.
Cool.
There's a big garbage
Cool.
thing on the front. We won't hit too much on that. I just don't. It's funny because like until people have read through it, I don't want to like hit too much on it. But the idea with the cover there is that's all the garbage in the ocean was created into a big golem, so to speak, and that's what the monster on the front is. It's all the plastics and stuff just
Mouth drop.
yeah, so fun.
So,
Yeah.
with those last comments, we'll go into our next section of hey, what you been reading? So, Joel, hey, what you been reading?
Yeah, so I just finished reading World Keeper's newest book in the series. The Information is Power, I think, is what it's called. And then after that, I finished reading the latest book in the Siphon series. Or it's not Siphon. The first book's called Siphon. It's Touch of Power
Touch of
series.
Power.
Yeah.
Great.
Insight, which was really good.
Is
other
that out
than
on
that,
Audible
I've
now,
been
or was that on Kindle, Joel?
No,
It's not on Audible. The new one's not on Audible yet.
I didn't think it was.
Yeah, it's coming soon. I'm waiting because that's
Andrea
how I
does that one, right?
Who?
Andrea, she's the
No,
narrator.
Andrea doesn't do one. No, it's another girl. I always forget her name.
I'm looking right now because I have it.
Yeah, she does some really cool voices. Kind of forget what her name is, and I mean her voice fits Jay so well. I don't know, and this is not an insult to Andrea at all because she can do such a range of voices. So she probably could do a voice that fits.
I'm afraid to
Ethan
pronounce
character.
this name. I'm afraid I'm going to butcher it. Samara Nami?
That's right. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Samara. Yeah, and somebody said it to me before, and if you listen to it, obviously you hear her say it.
Yeah.
And so we should know how to pronounce this, but obviously we don't because that's not the part I'm listening for.
I totally can't do that, obviously, because I can't say Daniel Wisniewski's name right. Oh, I think I just did it again. All right, let's go. 2 for 2.
But yeah, on Audible though, I've been listening to Xander Boyce's book, The Red Mage Fracture. Yeah, and Livy Weiner also put out book 2 and 3 So book 3 is Martis Dane, which I finished. And then I also finished He Who Fights with Monsters, book 5. So
Nice.
that was also really good.
Those are good.
Richie, what you been
We'll save
reading
me for
besides
last.
like Star Wars? Or Ryan.
Yeah,
So Ryan, what you
Ryan
been
first,
reading, listening?
For sure. So actually, so I just finished Fracture as well. Loved it. One of my favorites. Always has been. I love his star maps.
Shout out to Xander Boys.
It's one of the more unique systems in our genre for sure. And I love how he evolves stuff and really kind of, this one was a good book where it's kind of showing, other races in the multiverse. I don't know what he calls it in his world, but amazing. And then so I also listened to, as I said, oh great, I was reincarnated as a farmer. I finished the Cradle series finally, which I loved.
Oh my gosh!
I
dude.
was like hooked, and that was
book
the week
10
I was sick.
like,
So good, and like I finally found why everybody loved it, and just fell in love. So that one was like I did finish it in like a week. When I was sick, I was just laying in bed and just conking out to it. But right this moment, I am reading a manga. An anime, not an anime, but a manga manhwa, and it's called Muram Login, I believe is what it's called. Muram Login, yeah, and it's got a whole bunch of chapters on Asura scans, and it is absolutely fantastic. Sorry, I had to go check to make sure I had the right title, but it is so right in the middle of our genre. So basically, first episode of this, main character gets a VR pod and he's already living in like a Star Tower-esque world where there's like, portals and dungeons and stuff. And he's an F rank hunter. And I'm like, this is so funny. This is like great, 100% like vibes with me. And then he gets a VR pod and he goes into the Muram world where he learns cultivation. And it's like a real world thing because like he gets trapped in there for a bit, just like our genre, like trapped into VR. And if he dies in there, he dies in real life. And he starts gaining power in this other world. And then he comes back and there's this time dilation. It's only been like, a night or something like that. And he's basically carries the power from one world to the other. And he has to now live 2 lives. And that's as far as I've gotten is basically he's now living these 2 lives where he's gaining power in one and hunting monsters in the other. And I'm like, this is so cool. Like I never would have thought anything like this. So it's a lot of fun. And it's called Muram Login. So there you go.
Cool.
All right. So on Kindle, I read all the way through Tokens and Towers, and then I got the audio for it. Harmon said he was going to send me a review copy, and I was like, nah. Like, he didn't even... I knew it dropped on Audible before he knew, apparently. I don't know how I did
Super
that.
common.
I told him I was checking Audible every day for it, because I wanted to listen to it on the plane, because I don't like flying. So, but then I powered through all the way through Behind Blue Eyes Book 1, which is fantastic. I can't wait for the audio for that one. Anna is such a damn good writer. And now I am going back and I restarted Celestial Citadel, which is book 6 in the Rogue Dungeon series. And it's so good. It's the finale. And it's so good. James and Eden killing it so far. On Audible, I powered through a lot of my Star Wars books. I'm reading another one right now. I'm currently re-listening to the 3rd book in the Darth Bane trilogy because I forgot about what happened in that one. But also, I powered through Shadow City, which is Animosity Cat's other series. What else did I do? I picked up Virgil's Pact, which I'm going to be starting here soon. I powered through books 2, 3, and 4 of Aaron Oster's Rise to Omniscience series. Oh, great, I was reincarnated as a farmer. The Feedback Loop, Volume 1, I powered through again just because I wanted to listen to some Harmon Cooper stuff when I was before Tokens and Towers came out. And I also... what else did I finish? I have so much stuff downloaded, and when you download stuff, it puts everything at the top. Oh, I did Paragon of Blood again by Alex Knight and Luke Chimolenko, which our next episode is Alex Knight, and we'll be talking about Paragon of Blood and Rise to Glory, and I can't wait for that episode.
That's so cool. Has either of you guys listened to Jake's Magical Market yet?
Yes.
That's one of the next ones on mine.
Good one.
Really good
Is it?
one.
I haven't listened to it yet.
It's a card-based system, which
Yeah,
Yeah,
card
I like.
magic.
And I love a good deck building system. And that speaking of deck building, I listened to We the People, which is Tracy Gregory's new series, the guy who does the Goblin Summoner series, which is another card based system. But We the People is a kingdom building one, and it's really good.
Hmm.
It's really
Exciting.
good. So
I have to check some of these out because, Jake's Magical Market people have been telling me, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet because I was stuck on Cradle and whatnot.
I feel like the big ones going on in the like the lit RPG groups are, I usually see at least one post a day. He Who Fights with Monsters, of course,
Dungeon
Jake's Magical
Crawler Carl,
Market, and
DCC.
Dungeon Crawler Carl, which book 5 I'm hoping is dropping on Audible soon. I really
Should
need
be.
that.
Oh, something else just came out that was a big one. Oh no, it was He Who Fights with Monsters book 5 just came out recently on Audible, right? And that was one of the big ones as well, I think.
Oh, it
Yeah.
climbed, and then First Fist climbed pretty high really quickly. What else did?
Actually, it wasn't super. First Fist was interesting because it came out and it did well, but it didn't climb, and then it had another spike, which awesome. Like that's fantastic. He actually switched covers and stuff, and then I don't know if that was what did it, but like something re-spiked his book.
I didn't even know that it had another cover. I just knew it as, the guy with the spear and his glowing fist on the front, and then that Dan and Rebecca were narrating, and I was like, oh, that's an instant buy for me because I love both of them. They're great. And I talked to Dan actually messaged me about doing the promo episode and was like, hey, how would you feel about this? I was like, yeah, let's go for it. And he was like, all right. And I was like, you can invite Rebecca and TJ on. So we got them on and we got to talk about it. And if you haven't watched that episode, go watch it. It was a fun time. Not what I was expecting when I got that book. It was nothing like what I expected it. And that made it even better. It was so damn good. So
the other one that did similar like that, but it was released a lot earlier, was Heaven's Law by Apollos Thorn, and I got to listen to that one too.
I've not listened to that one yet.
Yeah, it's a big long one as well, like 30 something hours, and like again, that's on my. I've downloaded it. It's on my thing. I just haven't gotten to it.
Apollo Thorn, he's the one that does the Underworld series, right?
And Codename Freedom, I think,
yes,
are both his.
So I've only read the first few books of the Underverse or Underworld. Underverse is Jez, which
right.
Fucking love him. He is an absolute delight, and I need to get him.
Yeah, I've been chatting with him a lot lately. Oh, he'll come on here for sure. It's weird though because you'll have to schedule it at a different time because he's London, right? I think.
I think
like
so.
That.
I thought it was either London or Australia.
I was like,
I think it's London because I just saw a podcast with all.
Oh no, I think it was London.
Yeah, because him, Don Chapman, Kevin Sinclair, and
Lars McCuller. I don't know how to say his name. Sorry, I'm probably killing it. I call him Lars Mac.
None of them are going to want to come on the show. They're like, man, these guys can't pronounce names for shit.
Oh man.
No, I have a list of people I'm reaching out to like schedule and get stuff on. Joel and I are going to take I think about a month and a half off just to give us a break. But I think we have a few things planned for that break. So it's not really a break. It's just going to be a break from the main show. Cause we have a couple of promotion episodes that we want to do for, Behind Blue Eyes. We're going to partner with Anna and, Zach on that one. And I've got a few things in the works with gaming streams and D&D streams and stuff like that. So, oh God, I'm overstressing myself again, but it's worth it.
That's fair.
And Joel is to get film footage at Dragon Con this year of him talking to people. So, Joel,
there you go. I'll see you there, Joel.
So, Ryan, you got to smack Joel for me, please. I'm telling every author they have to smack Joel for me.
This is new.
As long as you get better at posting stuff to podcasts.
Motherfucker.
I'm sorry.
I am having issues with the podcasting service, okay? Like I have the files ripped and everything. I just can't get them to upload for some reason. I'm troubleshooting. I am trying my best here.
I had to try. I'm sorry. I just, I love you guys too much.
Oh no, we adore you over here, so it's okay. If I would have been actually mad, I would have left.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, I have a lot of projects in the work on my end that I'm trying to get taken care of, and also trying to take care of a little. What? Don't meow at me, you little shit.
Shaking its head in the background. I actually could see the little kitty there that time.
Yeah, you can see his head just popping up. The rest of the chat can't because of the way the camera is like cropped and everything. But he's just looking. Him's just being a good boy. My little 4-year-old. Yeah.
Yep.
He just looked over at you.
Yeah.
There you go. That's funny. But yeah, like I think that's the big one with our. Everybody has so many big plans, and like I've got a big one kind of coming up that I'll eventually talk to you guys about because it's kind of going to be fun. But it will be probably middle of next year. Got a big one that I want to get kind of working on. But anyway,
yes, I would love to do an animated series for Ether Collapse.
I would love to do that too. That'd be amazing. Let's get working on that.
I would lend my voice for that.
Well, that's the other big thing that you've got going on right now too. So hopefully that works out. I hope you.
Yeah, I got some auditions. I'm trying to get finished up and everything. And I just gotta work on my pacing and stuff like that because I'm a constantly fast talker. I can never slow down. I'm constantly anxious. So I gotta get that stuff done, and my stutter doesn't help sometimes. So
another good one to talk to would be Christian J. Gilliand because he started recently as well.
I've never actually interacted with him, and I need to because I have to talk
He's
to that
great.
man.
Because he's also very interesting in the sense that I know that, and I hope he'd have no problem with me saying this all, but he definitely has some issues that he has gone through as well, like in the sense of like to overcome to really feel more confident using his voice as a narrator. And
we'll save that,
I'm not going to say that exactly.
We'll save that for after the show because I haven't made that quite announced yet on that project. So it's okay. Don't worry. They don't know what we're talking about. It's okay. Like, we're just going to play it cool, baby. Play it cool. Anyways, so this has been Stats on Stats. Just a couple also quick reminders. Follow us. Give us a follow on Twitch if you're watching this on Twitch. Hey, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime. So, you get a free sub. Give it to us if you're not going to use it because we'd appreciate it. It helps the channel out. Also can go towards, the bank breaking of us doing the giveaways because that's gonna break our banks. That's a lot, especially if you choose our lovely friends over at Mountaindale Press that this episode is unofficially sponsored by. I'm just saying this so they have no idea that I'm saying this, but go check out Mountaindale Press because they got a lot of good books. Like there's a certain series called Ether Flows and Ether Collapse over at Mountaindale Press. You go check that out. Check out their website, mountaindalepress.com. They got a lot of good books. Plus, Dakota Kraut. We love Dakota Kraut here. And honestly, we've had quite a few Mountaindale Press episodes because we had Chris Johns on not too long ago. And he's a fucking delight.
Yes, love him.
But we have our goals. If, 200 followers on Twitch, 100 followers on Twitter. I just added that one for this episode. So, come on, we're at 88. Get us 100 followers. We'll do the giveaway. And you can watch Joel and I's souls be crushed because we're going to be spending about $100 on someone.
It's fine. We love our followers.
It's fine. And also, you get to see more of my cat, Lunar, running around, the official mascot of Stats on Stats because Joel's dogs don't know how to behave.
If you could put some wings on the cat.
I have a Spider-Man harness.
Nice.
What are you doing? Hey. No.
Yeah.
Get away from that.
My pets don't know how to act.
Yeah.
Joel, he's trying to knock over a very expensive piece of hardware right now.
Pets, period. That's they don't know what that's for. See him yelling.
Yeah, I don't want to blow out your.
Okay.
So, but you can always find us.
Yeah. Hey, Rich, where can people find you?
You know what? I'll go last. Joel, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me across the internet on Twitter or Discord or Twitch at Sir Valor Hunter. Yeah. And follow us on Stats because that is also a platform that I'm on.
There's a lot of those. Yeah, that's fair. I'll go next, I guess. And so for me, you can go to www.ryandebruyn.com. Most of my links for social media are there, but also Facebook. I have a private group and a page. And then I obviously have my profile, so if you find that, go ahead and add it. And then otherwise, I believe that's and Instagram. Yes. Yeah. Perfect. That's all.
I didn't know you had an Instagram, so I just deleted mine. Oops. We could have used that as your handle instead of just Ryan DeBruyn under your thing.
Yes.
But
I gotta.
for me, always Rich Dolphus on Twitter. If you want to add me on PlayStation, I am Rich Dolphs Lit RPG because I put Rich Dolphus and they're like, no, you can't use that, so you're going to be Rich Dolphs Lit RPG. I was like, thanks, Sony. Fuckers.
Yes.
You can find me on Twitch here at Stats on Stats. This is my only channel. I took my Rich Dolphus channel and turned it into Stats on Stats. You can find me at Stats on Stats Lit because I finally have access to that Twitter account again after getting a new phone. I mean, if you follow me on Twitch, or not Twitch, Twitter, you're mainly going to see shit posts from me, like either about, hey, this is what I'm reading while I drive for a Lyft, or, hey, here's my cat. He's cool. He's cute. And also, I'll post my bad takes, like, my infamous one, The Dark Knight's a bad movie. So, yeah, that's where you can find me.
We're not going there.
Nah, that's for a different podcast. That's for when I'm on Penultimate Conquest. Love you, Ruben. So, anyways, this has been Stats on Stats with Ryan DeBruyn for our Boss Encounter episode. It was a fun time. We hope you enjoyed listening, or if you do listen to this or are listening to this in the future, hope you're enjoying and hope the world's a better place because it's a shit show right now. So, but we appreciate.
What a great sign off.
Hey, you know what? I got some great sign offs, Joel. I'm trying to come up with stuff. Okay, I've never been good at outros. I'm better at the intros. Anyways,
thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you for
Thank you.
listening. Everyone
day.
have a great night. Bye.